We have a gentleman in studio who has been a GOAT Award winner for 2 years and was on his way to make the GOAT Awards in 2024. And then all of a sudden, Richard leaves. What the flip? That was a hard day.
Moving up within Service Champions, one question to myself was, I've had this much success here at Service Champions, but does that mean I can't grow and be more successful elsewhere? That question was eating me up in my mind. But I learned. I don't regret going to another company and working the positions that I did because I learned a lot. One of the major things that I learned was I'm better off at Service Champions.
Hello, I'd like to welcome you all to the Wisdom of Wrench podcast. My name is Kevin Comerford, and we have a great GOAT show for you today. We have a gentleman in studio who has been a GOAT Award winner for 2 years, a two-time GOAT Award winner in 2022 and 2023, and was on his way to make the GOAT Awards in 2024. Special guy decided to leave Service Champions, decided to leave Wrench, decided to go out there and explore the industry, what's out there. And boy, are we excited to talk about that. And more so, come around and talk about what is it that makes this gentleman, Richard Kadotani, so special. He's got a great story. I'm excited for you all to hear it. So let's introduce Mr. Kadotani. Welcome to the show, Richard.
Thank you, Kevin.
Excited to have you here.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. You and I have a great story together, and I know we're going to get into that.
Yes.
But before we do, you got a great story, period. Gosh, I'm excited about this. Been jumping around here when I came in this morning, thinking about this story and thinking about you and just thinking about the lives that you can change with who you are and how special you are. So let's jump in. I would love to hear, and I'd love our audience to hear a little bit about your background. So just begin where you grew up. Yeah, let's start there.
Born and raised in Watsonville, California.
Watsonville,
a small town down in the Santa Cruz County. Went to high school in Watsonville. After high school, went up to San Francisco. Went to San Francisco State and didn't graduate. So I don't have my degree, but all my GEs are done and dabbled in a few different majors, but just didn't find something that I really wanted to continue pursuing. And how far do you want me to go with that?
Yeah, no, I want to hear. I love that. Again, I'm learning new things. I think that's super cool. San Francisco State, you were there. Give me an idea. What year is that?
2001.
So 2001, going to San Francisco State. You're there 2 years?
4.
You were there 4 years.
4 years.
Okay.
Wasn't the best student. If I'm not, I lose interest quickly in whatever those courses were. I would always start off with good grades, but then towards the mid to later part of the semesters, I would just kind of lose interest.
Yeah.
So
I can
not
relate.
good. Not good. But
every year, that's how I am with my fantasy football teams. I'm like good. I'm great like the first 3 or 4 weeks. And then I just it goes downhill for me. And then I stop not even putting my lineups in as the season goes on. So I get it.
But I would start thinking, what if I'm not that interested in a particular major, then I would start to think, okay, well, what might I be more interested in? Mm-hmm. And that's why I jumped between different majors.
Okay. So where did you end up when you decided to no longer pursue San Francisco State?
So my parents, they're retired now, but they used to own an auto repair shop in Watsonville. Mm-hmm. So I grew up in a shop. I was always at the shop if I wasn't at school or doing other things like sports. But their plan was for me to take over the family business at one point. And I figured I was probably going to end up doing that. But of course, they wanted me to go to college and get my degree before going into automotive. So that's why I was in college. And after attempting or going into 3 different majors, after the third, I said, school's not for me. And I said to my parents, I'm just going to come work for you. Because if ultimately that's what I'm going to end up doing, I think it's kind of a waste of time and money to just try different majors.
Right. Okay. So
Which
it sounds
they
like
weren't happy about.
yes.
But that's what I had decided at that time.
Yeah. So you left San Francisco State and you go work in the family business.
I thought I was going to, but my dad actually, they weren't happy about, they just wanted me to finish. And then after getting my degree, then they would be okay with whatever I decided. But I decided not to finish. And my dad, he said that I can't work for him until after I've worked for someone else for at least 2 years.
Boy, I like your dad.
And I didn't really understand it at the time, but that's what he said. And so, okay. So I got a job at working for Acura, the dealership, in the shop. And because I already knew the basics for automotive repair, I did that for 2 years. Everything was fine. But at the 2-year mark, I said to myself, I can do this, but I don't want to do this. What used to be my hobby, working on cars, became my job. And I just lost that interest. I just didn't want to continue doing it.
Where maybe you used to do it on Saturdays and Sundays as your hobby and love it.
My dad and I, that's actually probably the most bonding time that my dad and I had over years was just working on cars. Great memory. Never forget it. We rebuilt a couple different 1966 Mustangs together, and good times. But hobby went to job, and I didn't want to do it anymore. Everything was ready for me. But so at that time I said, okay, well, if I don't want to finish school, I don't want to go into automotive or carry on, I asked myself, what do I want to do? And what do I like to do? So something that I just enjoyed doing was being with my friends and family, going to different restaurants, and just that time with other people, friends and family, enjoying a meal, drinks, whatnot, just having a good time. That's what I enjoyed the most. And I've always known that I would like or wanted to own my own business, which I thought before would be my parents' business.
Right.
And so I said, okay, let's put those two together. So being younger, I wanted to open up a bar. But that's my parents said that's not a good idea. But I did it anyways. I didn't open up a bar, but
okay.
I said, okay, well, if I want to open up a bar one day, I have no bar experience, no business management experience. I said, oh, if I'm going to do it well, I need to know everything from the ground up. So I said, okay, I'll be a bartender. But I had no bartending experience, so no one would hire me. Went to bartending school, which doesn't really teach you how to be a bartender, just some recipes.
Where'd you go to school there for bartending?
In San Francisco.
In San Francisco, okay.
Yeah, it was just a 2-week course.
Okay.
So there's not a lot you can learn just 2 weeks, but because of that, I was able to quickly get a job as a bar back.
Okay.
So just assistant to the bartender. And I was bar backing for 3 weeks at a restaurant in the Castro, Japanese restaurant in the Castro. In that area, people like to drink. It's a fun atmosphere. But on a Friday evening, 8:30, 9 p.m., when I was bar backing, my bartender said, hey, I'm just going to go next door real quick. And he never came back. And we were 3 deep at the bar with customers. I was by myself and I said, okay, it's time to bartend. And then ever since then, I just had a good time doing that work.
Wow.
Went from bartending to serving to management, assistant manager, as a GM at 3 different restaurants. So I had always worked in a restaurant, never just a full regular bar. Until one day I said, okay, well, I know restaurants now. I felt that I knew restaurants. I thought I was ready to open up my own, and I did it. A little, maybe overly ambitious.
And what year is this?
That I opened the restaurant, it was just before COVID.
Okay, so 2019.
2019 is when I was working on getting it started.
Okay.
And I was open. It was a ramen restaurant in San Francisco.
Okay. Ramen, yeah.
During that was kind of in the middle of the ramen boom.
I remember that.
Open for 3 months, and then COVID happened. And I didn't have much money to start the business, which was already kind of a red flag. But with what I had, and some, of course, help from my family and my wife, her support also, everyone's support, made it happen. But only really had enough to get by when COVID happened, and Japantown was just a ghost town during COVID.
Yes.
No one knew what was going to happen for how long. And I just decided maybe it's time to look for something else.
Okay, so you're 2001, you're at San Francisco State. You go for 3 years there, or 4 years there. You then go Acura. So you bartended, waited, managed in the restaurant industry for probably 10, 12 years.
I was 13 years.
13 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Reminds me of Ray Diaz. You got a lot in common with Ray.
Yeah, I heard that he had his own restaurant before.
Owned his restaurant 18 years. Ray Diaz,
Oh, wow.
who's been on the podcast many times and who was my right-hand person for 30 years, was in the restaurant business for 18 years prior to coming on board.
Yeah.
So he will tell you that he's a believer that you learn so much doing what you just did.
Oh, yeah.
And learning about customer service and people, and yeah. So that's cool. Okay, so 2020 comes around, COVID, closed the business. Now what for Richard?
Excuse me. I didn't know it. Fortunately, my wife, girlfriend at the time, just 100% supported me with whatever I wanted to do, whatever I decided. Of course, we would discuss things.
Let's have a shout out to Bay.
Yes.
Thank you, Bay.
Thank you, babe.
So such a gift.
I wouldn't be here today, of course, without my family, my parents, and her. The support just was, even just to open up a restaurant, she supported me. She was, even though I had closed the restaurant, which is not a happy event, but she was glad that I decided to get out of the restaurant industry because I lived at the restaurant. I slept at the restaurant. Not always, but when the times that we could have a meal together was when she came to the restaurant to sit down with me during business hours. So,
did you own a home at this time?
At that time, no.
Okay.
But by my second year of being a technician with Service Champions, which Service Champions allowed me to financially make that happen, with Bay, of course, with her help, then we purchased a home.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. I love that. So you COVID, we're in COVID, we're closing the restaurant down. Now, how did you get into HVAC?
Right. So wasn't sure what I was going to do. Didn't know what else I wanted to do. So I just got on Indeed and was just scanning through different jobs. I knew that I'm older at that time and just wasn't looking for something just for now, but wanted to find a career. And in searching for different jobs on Indeed, I came across different positions in HVAC, whether it was installer, service, management. And I just started looking into it. Well, actually, the job postings and the salaries that you could make, it was kind of an eye-opener. I didn't really know exactly what HVAC was, but I started looking into it, and I was like, well, if people are posting these jobs with those salaries, that means you could make good money in HVAC.
And what was good money? What were you seeing? Do you remember what you were seeing?
Yeah, so for me, anything close to $100,000 a year that's good money.
Yes.
As working in restaurants, management annual salary, if it's around 80,000, depending on the type of restaurant, that's up there. So I saw some postings that were over 100, some over 200, and that's what really I had no idea. So I looked into it more. But these postings were saying looking for minimum 3 to 5 years of work experience, which I had none of that.
Mm-hmm.
But still scanning through. And then I come across a posting that said, paid training. It's like, paid training. When I was first looking for a job not with my parents, but an automotive repair job before, there were similar job postings back then. You have to have so many years, 3 to 5 years experience, which I had experience, but not on a resume because it was with my family.
Mm-hmm.
But because of that, no one was interested in hiring me back then for automotive. So to come across a company that's willing to pay me to train me, I was like, what is this? It's like unheard of. Reached out to the posting. It was Mercedes. And she quickly got a hold of me. We were communicating, came in for an interview, and that's how I got started.
Wow. So Mercedes shared with you the job opportunity. She obviously saw you, said, hey, here's somebody that's hungry, humble, and smart.
Yes.
Shout out to Mercedes. Thank you, Mercedes. Boy, she's hired so many people here. That's so great. Okay. So you get started here. So this is right in the middle of COVID. Because I remember you in the university having a mask on. I was wearing a shield. Weird times.
Yeah.
Very weird time. I think many people were wearing shields in the university. It was either a shield or a mask. And gosh, and you're training now, getting 10, 12, 14 weeks of training through Champions University.
Mm-hmm. So I was hired for service in San Jose, and I had 1 month to kill before the next CU course started. So they had me do ride-alongs with the first handful of different technicians and then the install department. But it was when I was doing ride-alongs with the install, I actually just jumped in there, grabbed some tools, started helping. And one of the leads, Frank Silva, asked me to be his assistant. And I thought about it because I was just killing time before going to service CU. But I was really comfortable just working with my hands, using the tools. And I just asked Steven Diangson, shout out to Steven. We can talk more about him. I just said I'd be more interested or comfortable doing install. They said, okay. And so rather than starting CU for service, I did install CU.
Oh, you did install CU?
Right.
Okay. And then did you go into install with Frank for a while?
Yeah. So
How long did you work as an assistant with Frank?
6 months.
Okay. Wow.
And then I was a lead.
I love that.
I had a goal.
Somebody that can work with their hands like you could coming in. Go ahead.
Well, Frank had moved on to a different company, not residential, but data center. Good for him. And so I just kind of, there was a need for someone to
step in.
And
so it's kind of like the bartender that walked out. Frank didn't walk out, it doesn't sound like, but the guy walked out and boom, you're the bartender. So it was almost like you're the lead. Is that how it sounds? Very similar.
And a big part of it, I think, it's just my thoughts was communicating with the clients. Because there's plenty of technicians, installers out there that know what they're doing, know how to install properly. But communicating with the clients is a huge part of it. Making sure that they're comfortable with everything we're doing in their home. And that was something that I was comfortable doing.
So what I'm hearing you say is installation technicians, if they want to improve their career even more, you're saying what helped you was your ability to be able to communicate with the client.
Yes.
That's tremendous. That's great. Okay. So you're now a lead. How long were you a lead for?
Not long. So total doing install was 11 months.
11 months. Okay.
And then Frank Avila.
Yes.
The general manager, one day just said, hey, why don't you come over to service? And I thought about it, sat down with Steven Diangson again, and it came down to numbers and what potential money I could make. So we went over that, and I said, if I potentially could make more money in service, then let's do it. And so I did. But he showed me a range of income from different technicians, no names, just kind of a dollar range. And I said, if I can be right in the middle, that's awesome. And that's what I was going for. I just wanted to be right in the middle.
And it was over that, was it over that $100,000 number?
In the middle, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I switched over to service, and
did you go back to CU?
I did. I did. Yeah. Communication part. Well, also being an install, I knew how to install equipment, but I didn't have the diagnosis skills, knowledge. So CU learned that, and communication.
Okay, so this is now 2021.
Yes.
2021, you're now on your journey in service. And now you hit your first year of GOAT Awards. So you get out there, you're learning service. 2022 was the first year that you achieved the GOAT Awards.
Yeah. And
in tech TGL revenue.
Yes. Not something I was planning, because again, I was just trying to be right in the middle of the pack. But it happened. And
I remember you escalated fast out of nowhere. All of a sudden we have this guy that's, yes, leading San Jose, yet also leading the company. It was like, who, you want to get my attention? It's like, whoa. Where did this guy come from? Richard out of nowhere is leading the entire organization in tech generated lead revenue, which is a big category for us to track. And for those, quick explanation, TGL revenue, I know most of you know this. It's when a technician goes in and sees an opportunity where the client can have a comfort advisor or a comfort consultant come out after, and he gets that whole situation set up, creates an interest for the client, and then turns that over to the comfort advisor through the sales lead coordination process. And then the comfort advisor comes in later in that night. I know probably everybody listening to that, the last thing they needed was an explanation, but I just gave it. Anyway, so you're killing it. You're now like, okay, I just did, out of nowhere, you did $2.5 million in tech generated lead revenue, your first full year in service.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you do that?
Communication. I think that's, it goes, communicate. If you're able to communicate with the client and help them understand the situation with what they have, it's educating the client. That's it. Let them decide what they want to do after they're educated. And it often ends up with them asking me, how much is a new one? Or how much for these options? And then that's when we bring in the advisor. That's it. Really as simple as that. When I was trying to decide if I was going to go over to service, I did a ride along with another service technician. So I was still an installer. Excuse me, Matthew Torres.
Oh, yeah.
Great guy.
Great guy.
Rode with him one day, and he went to a call. The system was working, but we came down from the attic, and he just shared with the clients the overall condition. And that was it. And they asked, how much is a new one? Sold the furnace. The advisor sold the furnace. The next day, I was back installing the furnace.
You were installing the same furnace. Oh, that's so funny on the ride along that you went on. Okay, yeah.
But it was just seeing him just educating the client on the condition of the parts, the state that they're in, how much life expectancy typically there is. And the clients decided it's time to replace. And that was it. He didn't have to sell a new furnace or tell them that they should. They decided just by educating them.
We're going to touch on that a little bit. There's more there. That's good. That's good. By the way, everybody, I got Andrew Zaragoza in studio. You can maybe hear him laughing. I've asked him if he could chime in with any questions for Richard. So Andrew, great to have you here, buddy.
Thank you so much, Kevin, and thank you, Richard. Yeah, I do have questions on that specifically, but I wanted to go back a little bit. How old were you when you got into the trades? Like, how old were you when you said, I'm going to apply for this HVAC position and I'm going to entertain this opportunity and actually go give it a shot?
Well, excuse me. I'm 42 now, so 38?
That's amazing. So
37?
Yeah, I love that. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because so we're in 2026 now. There's a lot of stuff with like AI this, AI that, and we are obviously huge proponents of the trades because you're not going to replace you, right, with AI. But a lot of people might be thinking like, oh, but it's too late. I went to school for this. I went to school for that. I've been, working at my dad's shop or whatever. All I know is working on cars. Mm-hmm. But you decided, you know what? I'm actually going to do the thing and I'm going to stop. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm just going to go do it, which I think is a common theme for the rest of the show. But I just wanted to emphasize that you did it at 38 when we're supposed to kind of already have it figured out, supposedly, even though, I mean, I'm 40 and I'm still figuring it out. But I love that you not only jumped into something brand new, but you took everything, your whole experience, and then you thrived and you became a GOAT. That's very freaking impressive. Mm-hmm. And it's just super encouraging to me. And I just hope that, I don't know if there is somebody out there that's listening that is already in the trades that maybe is a little bit unsure, or I don't know, they're having a bad week or whatever it may be. It's like, no, man, you totally got this. And then for the person that's considering jumping into the trades, dude, this field is wide open no matter what age you are, right? Mm-hmm. Bring in some hard work, some good work ethic. And dude, I mean, I don't even like to say the sky's the limit, because it's really ultimately whatever the heck you want it to be. You wanted middle of the pack.
Yeah.
And then you ended up crushing that. So I just freaking love that. So thank you for letting us know how old you were when you got into it, because I think I just didn't want to overlook that whole aspect of your journey.
So good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And keep them coming, Andrew. Keep the questions coming. And by the way, typically you'll say, hey, make sure you subscribe, right?
Yeah, I've been really digging the support from everybody on the YouTube side. The Alan Smith stuff has been going bonkers, and I really appreciate that. So for those that have been leaving comments, thank you so much for doing so. And if you are on the fence or you've been kind of checking out the podcast, don't be shy. Let us know what you're liking about the conversations, what's resonating with you. No pressure. Just let us know, hey, that was a really good conversation, or I liked X, Y, Z of that conversation. That lets us know what type of conversations you want us to have moving forward. So that way, we can kind of build the best show that you guys want. That's going to help you out wherever you need help with.
Beautiful. Okay. Great stuff. Richard, 2022, you're killing it. You come in, I take notice. Wrench takes notice. Wrench invites you to the GOAT Awards. Top 10 in the country, right? At that point, there's probably 2,500 technicians in the country. And you're top 10 in tech-generated revenue. See, he doesn't even realize. He's like a fish that doesn't see water.
That's how it felt. Because even the bonus structure, monthly bonus structure, Stephen, when we were first talking about numbers, potential numbers, I didn't pay attention to the bonus plan, because I knew that was way beyond what I could do. So I just wanted to be in the middle. So the first time I got my monthly bonus, I was asked to fill out the paperwork to get it. And I'd said, what bonus? I didn't even realize there was a bonus, because I just never imagined that. I didn't have that in sight to be a top performer. But
what's the lesson there that you would share with somebody?
Listen when your manager tells you things.
If you could go back and talk to the 2022 and share with the 2022 Richard, what would you tell him?
Anyone can do it. You don't have to have that particular background. What would I tell him? I don't.
Yeah, I think it's still apparent right now, but would you say you just kind of had the blinders on, where you're like, I'm not worrying about any bonus, I'm not doing this, I'm going to go do my job?
That was it. I would say so. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to make enough. That's it. I didn't even see that being at the GOAT Awards. Mm-hmm. I wasn't trying it at the beginning.
Right.
At the beginning.
So 2022 comes along. You kill it. 2023 comes along. Now you do over 3 million in tech generated lead revenue. Once again, you get invited to the GOAT Awards, right? You're starting to feel confident. You're tracking. Your revenues are super impressive. 2024 comes along. And I remember this. Now Richard's going to make the GOAT Awards for a third time. Month after month after month, we're showing the different GOAT Awards and who's winning and who's in the top 10. And Richard's name, without a doubt, is showing up every month in 2024. And then all of a sudden, Richard leaves. What the flip? Richard leaves. That was a hard day. That was a hard day for the company.
And you reached out. We talked quite a bit, and I appreciate that.
When you have a GOAT leave, that's a big freaking deal. When you have a GOAT leave, especially as San Jose was going, it was growing, it was doing well, and all of a sudden, boom, it gets hit with a GOAT leaving. So continue.
Yeah, so everything was going great. I had no complaints. I was treated well.
You had bought a house.
Purchased a home.
You bought your home in 2023.
Yes.
And that's the home you bought in Hayward.
Mm-hmm.
And like we said, in 2024, you then left. You left in 2024, but you've got this new home that you've got a mortgage on, and you and Bay are going along. And I remember talking to you about when you were moving into that new home and how excited I was for you. And you were super appreciative about the opportunity that you had at Service Champions to be able to afford this home. So I'm having a love fest with Richard. I'm thinking this guy's a 20-year team member at least. And then you left.
And then I left. I was thinking, what's next? Not as far as what company, but it was on my mind for maybe not quite a year.
You said earlier you get bored. You get bored pretty quick.
I think that's, part of it.
Going back to San Francisco State.
Yeah. And I wasn't bored. But I was just interested in the next step. But at Service Champions, the next step was Comfort Advisor, which I had discussions with Stephen and Frank. And the opportunity was available for me, but I wasn't ready for that, to just jump into sales. What I was interested in was a selling tech position. And so it was always on my mind, and I had conversations. I think I briefly discussed with you before, probably in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Just couldn't talk too much to you in Vegas because everyone's in line to talk to Kevin. But from my understanding, at one point in time, there was a selling tech position, but for whatever reasons, that position was removed, and it wasn't something that was going to be brought back. However, there was 1 week. In 1 week, I got 2 different phone calls from 2 different HVAC companies that were trying to recruit me, because each of those companies had someone that used to work at Service Champions, so they knew me. I was not back on Indeed searching for another company. Just coincidentally, in 1 week, 2 different people called me. Because I knew someone at those companies, I entertained the conversation. But the first thing I said, because they were reaching out to me for a service tech position, and the first thing I said was, I'm not, why? Why would I leave where I am? I have no complaints. I said the only thing I'm interested in right now, outside of what I'm currently doing, would be a selling tech position. And both of those companies said, okay. They didn't have the position at the time, but to get me to come by and have a conversation with them, they said, okay.
Of course they would. Of course they would.
And
if they knew, they obviously got a taste of what your pedigree was and what your background was and what your performance was from that other person. So of course they would. Yeah.
And there were they painted some pretty glorious dreams.
Both companies did.
Both, yes.
Yeah. This can all be yours.
Yeah.
Kind of like
yeah. The grass is greener. It wasn't really the grass is greener. It's just I got sold. I don't regret leaving. Well, I don't regret going to another company and working the positions that I did, because I learned a lot. I learned a lot that I wouldn't have if I stayed. But one of the major things that I learned was I'm better off at Service Champions. And so
that was one of the things you learned. Give me a couple of other things that you learned about the industry and about maybe the differences between what's out there and what you have at Service Champions. I know being respectful of the other companies, they were good to you. So just share some of the things that you learned. Because there's other goats that are getting recruited.
Sure. My personality, I wasn't worried about taking a leap of faith to another company. I had that. I wasn't worried because I know that I'll be okay if it doesn't work out. Whether it was coming back to Service Champions or another company. So I wasn't worried about that part. But it was something, if I see something that I want as a goal, I can't get that out of my mind. And I just say, okay, well, how do I get there? And then I jump. I don't think, I wouldn't advise that for just anyone. That's just me. Opening up a restaurant, I wouldn't advise that for anyone. The success rate is just too low, but that's a different story. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad I made that decision to work elsewhere because of what I learned as far as differences between another company and here at Service Champions. Service Champions, what I learned, I can appreciate so much more now on a completely different level because I've seen more behind-the-scenes operations at the other company. And Service Champions is just a perfectly oiled beast of a machine, which I didn't appreciate before. I knew we were a mom and pop that was very large. And of course, it's gone beyond mom and pop. But the day-to-day operations, there are teams that are working on everything for myself as a technician. Just my daily route, the management, everyone I'm in talking to. I didn't appreciate that before because just there are teams that are helping to figure out where I'm going next as far as my next call, talking to clients about different things, whether it's the MVP. Didn't appreciate it before. I noticed, I felt it. Don't want to say certain things.
You're nice. And I think that's really cool and respectful. Was the support, sounds like support was different. And
support was different. There's just Service Champions would have a team working on one specific aspect. Some manpower, I guess there's lack of manpower. Mm-hmm. Smaller company over there. But yeah, just a lot of things I went unappreciated from myself. And now I can, a lot of work goes in behind the scenes that myself, other technicians, people in the company just don't know.
Well, anybody that's watching this or listening to this can appreciate you where you're tiptoeing because you want to be respectful of that other company.
Of course.
And to me, there's a huge lesson in this. It's a lesson that we look to teach our salespeople and our technicians to never badmouth any other company. Never badmouth a company. Talk about the good things that we do at Service Champions. Because once you start talking bad about a company in front of a client, oh my gosh, they see it. It might make you feel good, You know, it might make that person feel good, which I'm very impressed. You've got the discipline to go towards that immediate gratification, knowing that it actually has an effect on you later on. It might feel good right at the moment to bash that other company, but there is going to be some lingering effects, whether it's, some remorse or it's going to have an effect on you. It will. And I so much appreciate this. So the message that I am getting from this and the lesson that I'm learning is when we're out there in the home, only talk good about Service Champions, and you will win over a client if you can say, you know what, there's a lot of good people over there at Johnson Heating and Air Conditioning or whatever, if that comes up. Because sometimes clients will look to bait you into bashing another company.
Sure.
Or if you're in a situation and Johnson has misdiagnosed something, don't bash them for that. Oh gosh, those guys always screw up and make mistakes, and I'm always having to come behind them to clean up. It's like, dude, does your ego really need that? Your ego is not your amigo, bro. Okay? Why would you even go down that road? And that's one of the things that we talk about in one of the podcasts, which is, do I want to be right? Because you can be right, or do you want to be rich? And right there, if you're going to bash Johnson Heating and Air Conditioning, and I know that's not the name of the company that you went to work for, you might be right. But let me tell you, you're going to miss the opportunity to be rich in that relationship, in how you feel as your well-being, and rich financially, because you will lose money, let me assure you, if you bash other companies. So, Richard, what a lesson for all of us. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
When you were getting those phone calls, what was going through your mind there? Like, what was that experience like?
How did you get my number? Because I didn't know who was calling me. I wasn't expecting a phone call or looking elsewhere. But then they would say, "Oh, well, so and so works there and knows me." But my first thought was, as I said, I'm good. Everything's great. But in the back of my mind, I was interested in a selling tech position, and they said yes to it. So,
do you think it? Again, like, not trying to like put you in a hot seat or anything like that, but like, do you think it might have impacted whether it was work performance or like even morale, in your day to day?
When or
you have another company that's like, Richard, hey man, like we're going to create a whole new position for you, and then you come into Service Champs and dang, they don't even have the position that I want. Like, now all of a sudden, you said the grass, doesn't have to be greener, but it's just different grass. Did that impact performance at all?
While he was being recruited, you're saying while he was being recruited at
Correct,
Service Champions.
Yeah.
My first initial thought is to say no, but it probably did, because I was no longer focused. I'd be at a call, but thinking about the other opportunity. But it happened pretty quickly. Again, going back to just, I guess, my personality. If I'm thinking of something and I like the looks of it, then I'm just going to go for it.
Right. Yeah.
So it happened very quickly. Of course, a lot of discussions with my wife, and someone I actually wanted to talk to, but couldn't at the time, was Steven, to get his input. Mm-hmm. But obviously he was my immediate supervisor, so couldn't have that conversation. But yeah, it happened very quickly.
Yeah.
So there's a lesson here. There's a lesson here. Mm-hmm. And it's from a business philosopher that I have followed, sales philosopher named Tommy Hopkins. And It's when you're in that state of indecision where you lose focus. And it's better to make a bad decision. So if you're sitting in decision time, decide, because it's better to make a bad decision than no decision, because indecision will drive you crazy.
That's huge.
Yes.
That's dope. I love that a lot. And so the reason why I was asking this and kind of grilling you a little bit, not to be mean or anything, it's just that, look, you here at CU, like you guys are gonna produce some amazing team members. Those team members are gonna get hit up by other companies. And so I kind of wanted to go through what was going through your mind and how you approach that, just to be like, dude, people are going to experience this exact same thing as well. How can we navigate this a little bit better, right? Because in my head, if I'm thinking like somebody's trying to recruit me over here, like, well, maybe all of a sudden now, I don't know, I don't have to try as hard, because if I screw something up over here, then I have my backup plan or whatever it may be. But instead, maybe I can talk to somebody, right? So like, I guess, yeah, would you have advice for somebody that does get contacted by a different company? Mm-hmm. Like what advice would you have for that person?
Well, going back to indecision will drive you crazy. That it would. I knew it would drive me crazy. Not going to open up a restaurant. If I didn't try, I would have continued working in restaurants until I tried to open up a restaurant.
You had to do it.
But it just would have extended, and I would be still working in a restaurant. Well, if it wasn't for COVID, but I had to do it. I had to do it. Or I had to know whether I succeeded or failed. I needed to know. And same with going to another company for that different opportunity, that particular position, selling tech. I needed to know because it was on my mind, just not offered here at the time. So, going back to your question.
I would say that maybe even changing a little bit what Tom Hopkins used to say, because to me, the decision for you to open your restaurant wasn't necessarily a bad decision, right? Because you had to go through it.
Yes.
It was a learning decision.
Because everyone told me not to.
Yeah. You had to do it though, right? Otherwise, you would have had this thought in the back of your mind. Yeah. And just the same, sounds like you made a decision, because I think a lot of people struggle with this, Andrew. I think they go a long time, say, working at a wrench company, to questioning, should I stay? Should I leave? Should I stay? Should I leave? And what do you think their performance is like, Richard?
Yeah.
Or Andrew? It's always going to be mediocre.
Yeah, it's going to be as undecided as they are.
And it's going to drive them crazy. It's going to be a huge stress.
Because they're not going to be able to buy in, right? You've told people that all the time. And that's what I love about this story, because not that you were complaining, but if there is somebody that's like, oh, this job, this job, that, it's like, well, hey, go find a new spot instead of complaining about it. Richard actually went and tested the waters and was like, hey, I learned something here. And that's what we're learning today.
So good.
Yeah. Sorry, just trying to go back to what you were saying.
About the lessons that we could maybe potentially teach somebody that's kind of stuck in a similar situation, that's being recruited by somebody, like what they could do.
So moving up within Service Champions, the different positions and the success, one question to myself was, I've had this much success here at Service Champions, but does that mean I can't be even more there's not other opportunities where I can grow and be more successful elsewhere? That question was eating me up in my mind. I wanted to know. And so I did. I learned. Because to answer my question, well, could another place be better? Maybe better is not the best choice of word, but than Service Champions. But I learned. I learned that I was better off with Service Champions. The feeling of being a team member at Service Champions, once I officially decided to come back to Service Champions, was rehired, came back to the shop, saw everyone, just immediately felt right. The people, which make up the culture, it was huge. I never really thought about or put too much thought into what culture is within a company, even though the core values, it was just memorized, the core values. But I never really personally dug into it and thought about, well, what is culture? But now having experienced another company and talking to other people in the industry about where they work also, and just realizing that the culture at Service Champions for me was the best fit. And that translates into my day-to-day, how I feel in the morning, how I feel about waking up to go to work, and my interactions with the clients, if I'm in a better mood. The culture affects all of that, which then affects my performance and affects my paycheck.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. So let's talk. Let's go back to, you're now contemplating coming back, and one of the things that we've talked about in past podcasts is when a guy like Richard leaves. Yes, I reached out. I talked to him. Did I ever get mad at you?
No.
Did I ever tell you, Richard, this is the dumbest decision? How could you leave us? Did I ever make you feel like, and I'm not looking to say this to impress people, more so to impress upon people something that we've talked about in the past, which is the importance of when someone is leaving, listen to them. There's something that can be learned about your organization. Maybe there's something lacking. Maybe we needed to consider a selling tech, right? And you just have to, and I did. And we decided we were going to still stick with the same system that works for us, but I certainly entertained, I don't even know if you know this, the selling tech role, yet I understand. I understand that, hey, we were a part of Richard's journey, and who knows where Richard's going to be a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Let's just end this relationship, this working relationship right now, with grace, with dignity, and we stayed in touch, right?
Yes.
We communicated. I wanted to see how Richard was doing. He would reach out to me. I would reach out to him. And it wasn't like never did I ask him, when he coming back? It was never. I knew he would be fine. I knew we would be fine.
Yeah.
And yet I wanted to keep that door open. I wanted to keep that relationship because I know what's out there. I know what we have. I know how we're different. I also know that we're not for everybody. I know that. I know that too, that there are better places for people to go. There's some team members might be better off working at that company you were at.
Yes, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
So for me, I realized it feels right for me.
Yeah. So now you're thinking about coming back. You begin conversations because there was a period of time where you and I weren't talking a lot as you were really beginning to accelerate your interest in coming back. You're talking to Steven.
Mm-hmm. Steven, a handful of the team members that were and still are at Service Champions would reach out and some people had questions too, because there's always that curiosity.
What's it like over there?
Yeah.
Especially young technicians who we have built and trained in the industry from nothing. They had nothing. They don't know what it's like out there until they go and experience it. So somebody like you can provide that wisdom.
Yeah. But yeah, talking to Steven, Vinny reached out often.
Vinny Lamb, who's a goat this year in sales.
Goat of the goats, right?
He is a goat. He is he did over $6 million in HVAC sales.
Yeah. But yeah, just people would reach out, stay in touch, whether it was curious how it is over there, or but when you would reach out, it was, you're just saying hi. I mean, more than that, but, which really, it was nice to stay in touch with you and to know that occasionally, maybe on a Sunday morning, I might get a text from you and you just said, "Oh, I thought about you." And then you'd ask me to watch a podcast. But, which we do. And even Bay is, following the podcast as well.
I love it. Thank you, Bay.
And then she'll give me advice on things.
That's so great. That's so great. So you decide to return. It sounds like when you came back, you said it felt right. You came back. When did you come back? What month? In 2025.
December?
December of 2025.
December? November?
I think, it was the end of last year for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
how's it been since you've been back?
Some different faces as far as team members, new faces, obviously. Of course, I was gone for a little over a year. The same, solid, as I expected.
And your performance has been there?
Yeah, just got right back to it. And yeah, it's good.
Can you share any of your performance numbers?
So one of my requests, I don't know if this should be edited or not, was to have fewer calls, mainly for my work-life balance. It was really important for me because my first and second year as a technician with Service Champions, I worked as many calls as I was given, but I didn't want that many calls for each day.
How many calls do you like to run a day?
3.
Which is a perfect amount for a high achiever.
At the beginning of the day, if I know that I have 5 calls on me, I'm stressed out before I even get to my first call, because all I'm thinking about is how late am I going to get home?
Which makes absolute sense for a high achiever. And the message to the marketplace, or to the other wrench companies, is we only want to put Richard on the very best calls. So when Richard said there's a team looking at his calls, there is a team scouring through, looking at the history, making sure that it's an older piece of equipment, making sure that, and we track this. We look at how many old calls Richard ran in the month compared to all the other calls, and we're watching that. And is it always perfect? No. But if we see that he runs lower than 80% older calls, Houston, we have a problem. there's a problem, and you got to get back on that, and it's a science. We want to put a guy like Richard on calls where there's an opportunity to communicate with a client when that equipment's old, and why it would be in the best interest of the client to look at their options for replacement. They don't need to replace, but that's what Richard does such a great job of, is getting the client interested in having someone come out and talk to them. Whereas if we gave that older piece of equipment to a non-experienced tech, shame on us. The conversation, there's a chance the conversation was never even bridged. You follow me? So it's like, we want, and it's a service to the client. It's a disservice, in my opinion, that we leave an old piece of equipment 20, 25, whatever it is. It's a disservice for us. Even though it's running, the opportunities there are on high efficiency, better performance, easy payment plans, on why we need to at least let the client know their options so they can decide.
I've had conversations with clients where we're now discussing replacement options, and they'll say to me, in the past 3 years, I put in a couple thousand into repairs, and they're thinking, either regretting having invested so much money into repairs at a certain age, and would say, well, I wish you or another technician would have let me know all of this information before, so I wouldn't have had to spend that money on repairs.
Right. That's so true, because they could have put that $2,000 towards a new system and had all the benefits of it.
Right.
Instead, they've been limping this old system along, which is very normal. I was talking to a gentleman actually about 2 weeks ago, that owns his own company, and he wants to come back to Service Champions. He's worked here before. And he said, I've just gotten really good at repairing systems. So I'm going out and repairing 25, 30-year-old systems, mainly because I don't have an install team. So I can't get tied up on an install job for 2 or 3 or 4 days. So I have to repair these old systems, because I can get $500, $800 in and out, get their system up and running. But is that really a service to the client?
No, not in the long run.
No. So we can get the system running, but it's like that $800 could have been put to a new system. And it's, again, for the client to decide, but what he was telling me is, I don't even give the client the option to replace. I tell them all the reasons why it's better to repair. Why? He's going to get stuck on an install for 3 days, and he's going to have to do it. That's our industry. That's normal. That's what happens when you. We've got big companies in our marketplace, but most of them are small mom and pop shops.
That reminds me of another thing I did not appreciate as much before, when I was first at Service Champions, was the speed of our installs. That's all I knew. Well, I was an installer. Full system, 1-day install. That's all I knew, though. That's okay. Thought that was standard. Went to work elsewhere, came back. One of the jobs that's getting installed this week or next week, it's a full system in ductwork. It's a 2-day job. And I'm like, I appreciate that so much more now, because here it's a 2-day job. Elsewhere, depending on which companies, it could be.
Many companies, that's a 3, 4. It's a whole week job.
Whole week.
It's a whole week job at many of the companies out there.
Yeah.
Let me just say this. Most companies, and you're tying up that client's time, inconveniencing them, you're pushing back when you're going to get paid on it for sure. So but let's talk about the client benefit.
Yeah.
The client is now pushed back an inconvenience for 4 or 5 days. They've got people running their house.
And sometimes the client's even losing money if they're taking time off of work just to be at their house. And they're just wondering, when are they going to be done?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I didn't see that aspect before. And now it's just, it's something to be proud of, and share with our clients too, how quickly our installs.
And now with your history and what you know, you can share that.
Yeah.
That's powerful. That's powerful. So you said earlier, one of the things you think you do really well is communicate. When it comes to your communication, where do you think you're world class with regards to that?
I'm not a talker in general, but when I say things, the clients understand like it's important when I'm talking. So I don't, and not to say that anyone shouldn't be too cheerful, like overly cheerful or enthusiastic when they're explaining things to clients, but I'm kind of monotone, I guess. But
never too high, never too low.
But when it is serious, as far as what's going on with the system or what could happen, they understand. And so they're listening. Or, hey, honey, come over here. I need you to listen to this part. They know without me saying, this is the important part. But also painting a picture for the clients. And every client is going to be different. Some might be more techie. Not to say that I need to dumb any words down, but it's extremely important for them to understand what I'm talking about. What is a heat exchanger? Where's the air flowing, the path that it takes? So I kind of in a summary will just paint a picture for them so that they can see it in their mind.
Do you draw? Do you ever draw?
No. It's just verbal.
Yeah,
I'll use my hands.
And you show them.
I'll use my hands.
That you're using. Okay.
Yeah. Or if they're able to come to the furnace or the equipment, and I'll kind of point out these areas. But just keep it simple so that they understand the basics of how it works. And then I explain the condition that particular parts are in. And then they realize, oh, that's not good. But they're realizing it. I'm not telling them. I'm not saying this is not good. Because at that point, they already understand how it's supposed to work. And then they ask me the questions, well, can this be fixed? Or how much is a new one? Because by that point, they already know how old it is. And so they decide, well, there's no point to put money into repairs at this age. How much is a new one? And then the advisor comes in. And hopefully I did a good enough job so that the advisor isn't repeating anything I said.
Yeah. When a client asks you how much is a new one, what's your typical response?
Depends. From training.
I want to know how you do it.
How I do it. Well, it depends.
Yeah, okay.
Sometimes I'll give a ballpark,
Okay.
but it could be a range from low to high. Don't want to say lower than realistic because they usually focus on the lower number. But so just give from low to even higher, give them a range. Or sometimes depending on the client, I'll just give them a pretty good ballpark. Why? Don't want to waste anyone's time. Don't want to waste their time or the advisor's time. If they need that number to decide I don't want someone to come and give me an actual proposal, then I'll give them my best ballpark. Which I think, which I know the advisors would appreciate to not have to run a call if they're just kicking tires, or if they know that they're not ready to spend X amount of dollars. Because I did sales elsewhere, so which also makes me appreciate what goes into the work for our comfort advisors. It's not, the job's not done when they leave the door, when they leave the client's house. It's 7 days a week, all hours of the day. You're attached to your phone if you want to take care of those clients, which for me, I really want to. So I was literally attached to my phone. Yeah, but that got to me. My mind couldn't rest. So
tell me, how much does a new one cost? Just tell me, give me the ballpark, because this can help a tech.
For your home?
Yeah, for my home. Oh no, for a home, 2,000 square foot home. That's much bigger than my home.
We could be around mid-20s, mid-30s. Could go higher. Just depends on what you're looking for, your preference, what's best suited for your needs, your family, the hours of the week that everyone's home, who's controlling the thermostat. If you want a Cadillac, you can get a Cadillac. If you want a Honda, you can get a Honda, different price point. Both are reliable. Both are going to work, be safe. Efficiency, whatever you're looking for. Those are quick notes that are going to differentiate the cost.
Okay. So right now you just put mid-20s, mid-30s in my mind. So okay. Got it. So I know, meaning as a client, I know that, hey, okay, that's great. Okay. I want to talk about something you shared with us before, because you're now back. You're now doing 300, 400,000 a month in tech-generated lead revenue. You could share the number, what your January was.
Oh, January was nothing to brag about. It was 200.
200. That used to be record breaking. 200 in January is pretty darn good, pretty solid.
But I was per request running fewer calls.
Okay. So February, look out. You obviously came back and you shared that you just bought a new home, another new home, a vacation home, correct?
Yes. Yes.
So this is your second home?
Second home, vacation retirement home.
Vacation retirement home.
In Japan.
In Japan. Wow. Planning. Vacation retirement home in Japan. When did you make that purchase, if you don't mind me asking?
August of last year.
Wow. That's incredible.
Never thought that. Yeah. Before Service Champions, or even my first year at Service Champions, because I was in install. I didn't have my eyes set with high goals. Now I have two.
Incredible. Well, thank you, Richard. Wow, what a story you have. And this is going to help a lot of people, a lot of technicians out there. And clearly, Richard has displayed something that we live by on this podcast, which is this gentleman is always making his future bigger than his past. Bought a home, bought a second home. The future for Richard and the future for many of you out there in this industry is very, very bright. So thanks, Richard. Here's to a bigger future. Thanks a bunch.